Alright, I guess this is installment two. And I'm dabbing. And I got my coffee in my favorite Klimt cup. Do love the art, as you can see from behind me. With that's some of my photography, actually. I used to be a photographer until I lost my camera. I lost my camera. I had a beautiful camera, and I lost it, and I could never replace it. I was broke, and I never had the money to replace my $1,500 camera. So, yeah, now I'm not a photographer, or I am on an iPhone, but that's not really a photographer. So, it doesn't count anymore. But I used to be a really good photographer, and I took some amazing concert photography. Anyway, this is an installment about porn and the porn industry, and it's a couple of things. I basically was there was a post that a friend of mine put up the other day on Facebook about the porn industry and kids, and how kids are being influenced by porn in sex, and what their activities are because of what they're seeing on pornography, and some of the things were like, young women basically not prioritizing themselves in a sexual episode, but prioritizing the man's pleasure more than the woman's pleasure, and doing things that are demeaning, right? So, um, the porn industry is something that's out there, and it's not going away anytime soon, and I'm not sure what to say about how to fix it, but I guess trying to combat the influences of it are where we should be at right now, because there's an interesting other article that was posted by another friend of mine on Facebook about Pornhub the other day. And this was on Valentine's Day. I got a post from her, and she said that Pornhub was doing a sex education portal on their website. This was basically in the lack of sex education being found in schools and out there at all. Pornhub decided to make a portal of experts on sexuality and start posting articles and videos and things on sexuality and health and healthy sexuality, which I think is really interesting because they are a porn industry standard, and that's great that they're out there doing it. I'll be honest, I haven't looked to see what it looks like now, but in the article it said it was all manned by experts and medical experts and such, and sounded like it was probably pretty well founded. Um, anyway, it's it's something that I know in my old relationship with my ex. I always felt that there was a standard of sexuality that I was kind of held to, that was like the porn. And it was like he loved porn, and I knew he loved porn. And I always felt like when we were in bed together, there was this in the back of my mind, I guess, always, that how do I perform like one of these girls on porn? And I just, I found that I didn't respond the same way to sex from a very young age anyway, and as these girls on film did. And I guess, another interesting thing that I found is that, yeah, primarily these women in porn are faking it. It's not real sex. All of it's fake. So, you've got a fake standard being upheld with young women when they see this stuff, or young men when they see this stuff. It's a totally fake standard, for women especially. I'm not saying it's fake for men, but it's certainly fake for women. And I know that because I'm a nude model, and I've been privy to a number of sessions where I've been paid to do solo masturbation. And ultimately, even in a solo masturbation gig, to a certain degree, they will coach you to do certain things and just fake it. If they want you to do a certain thing and you're not coming doing it, they're just going to tell you to fake it. And I find that a little bit disconcerting because I think that the Pornhub article was right. A lot of people, a lot of young kids, in the absence of good sex education, are turning to pornography to garner their sex education, their education on sexuality and mores these days and stuff. So I think it's it's certainly of a concern. You know, there's a proliferation of it out there. The amateur porn is certainly probably a bit better, actually, because it's not really fake. And there's a lot of amateur porn out there. So, in a way, sometimes I think the best way to combat the industry standard porn that is fake and does show a lot of stuff that is sometimes demeaning to women and unrealistic is, I think that supporting amateur porn industry actually is potentially a way to try to combat some of that, and get some stuff out there that's more real sex and real men and women having real sex and showing what kind of pleasure they can garner from their own individual sexualities in trying to garner pleasure for each other on film. That's that's the kind of sexuality stuff that I like seeing anyway. And I'll be honest, I'm not much for porn, but every once in a while, seeing an amateur orgasm um, on film is quite exciting to see what they do to bring themselves to orgasm, how it works for them. You know, because everybody's orgasms are different, and I think especially for women, it's certainly got to be acknowledged that I don't think even for me every orgasm is the same. Unlike I don't orgasm the same every time. It's always a little bit different. You know, I know when I'm coming, but sometimes you know you've got an earth-shattering orgasm. Sometimes you've got a prolonged, like slow vibration orgasm. Sometimes, you know, it's like a real spurt of, you know, like you squirt, you that's another kind of an orgasm. You know, there's all kinds of different types of coming for women. It's a wide variety down there in the vagina and clitoris region with the G spot and the clitoris to play with. And certainly toys and penises and mouths can be very happy making that a pleasure dome. But you know, I think the unfortunate thing is we don't explore that enough in our pornography for women. So a lot of young women are left to try to explore it on their own with young men that aren't prepared to explore it with them because they haven't been prepared yet to deal with their sexualities in a mature fashion with young women where they devote any time to the young woman's pleasure because their paramount concern is getting their rocks off. And again, I say, you know, I never used to think it was just that, but it really is just that. There's a lot of men out there that just want to get their rocks off, and they're not concerned with spending time with a woman. They're not concerned with pleasuring a woman. They're not concerned with being gentlemanly to a woman. They're just concerned with sticking it in, and that's their paramount concern. And I think it's really something we have to make our young women wary of is that being pressured into sex and being talked into sex just because you're feeling erotically aroused isn't necessarily the best thing because a lot of the times those sexual encounters can make you feel really shitty afterwards. High pressure situations where you get talked into doing something that you might not be completely prepared for is not not fun. And I can again say that because I've done some things that I'm not proud of sexually. And you can only know that there are things that you didn't want to do until after you did them, right? But um, it's nice to be able to say, I hope I can send out a warning message and say, you know, watch yourself, young women. Um, don't be so willing all the time. It's it's nice to save yourself too, you know. It's nice to save yourself for those encounters where love is part of it, and it's not just about sex. So I don't know. Porn. I guess that's my installment for today on porn. I've got a lot more to say on it. I'm gonna look for some comments on this. And yeah, thanks for listening.